Yesterday, I was buying coffee, and the card reader froze right as I tapped my payment. While it rebooted, I caught myself doing that normal thing we all do, trusting the system without having the slightest idea what is happening behind the counter. Banks move money, networks approve it, everyone nods like that is obvious. Then it hit me that Bitcoin does the same basic job without a bank at all. No central authority, no single company saying yes or no, which sounds impossible until you see the mechanism that replaces trust. In the next 8 minutes, I am going to show you how Bitcoin mining creates new coins and keeps the system honest without relying on a central gatekeeper. No jargon dump, just one simple notebook model that makes the whole thing click. Quick favor before we go deeper. If you like tech explained in a way that feels obvious instead of exhausting, subscribe. I do these breakdowns with clarity first, hype never. Here is why mining matters, even if you never plan to buy Bitcoin. First, mining is not digital treasure hunting. There are no coins hidden in code waiting to be discovered. Second, miners are not just chasing profit. They are doing the network's security work in exchange for rewards. Third, the energy use everyone argues about is not random waste in the way people imagine. It is the cost of making cheating expensive in a system that does not have a boss. Quick self-check. Think about sending money from your bank account. Your request typically passes through apps, banks, card networks, fraud systems, and internal rules. That number of middle steps is exactly what Bitcoin tries to replace with math and public verification. By the end of this video, you will understand mining using one notebook analogy, and you will see why thousands of computers doing a giant guessing contest can secure a money system without asking anyone for permission. Let us start with what most people get wrong. Most people picture Bitcoin mining like gold mining. You dig around in cyberspace until you find coins buried somewhere in the internet. That sounds logical because we use the word mining, and Bitcoin is often compared to gold, but that mental picture is backwards. Miners are not finding old coins. They are doing a job that earns new coins as payment. A better way to think about miners is as the people who keep the official record up to date and hard to fake. Not treasure hunters, more like record keepers plus security guards paid by the system itself. Here is the simplest model. Imagine Bitcoin is a giant public notebook that records who paid whom. Not a private bank ledger, a public notebook anyone can inspect. This notebook is copied and shared across thousands of computers around the world, so no single person owns it and no single computer controls it. When someone wants to send Bitcoin, they are basically trying to add a new line to the notebook. Tim pays Alex this amount, Alex pays Maria that amount. These lines are called transactions, but you can just think of them as notes in the public record. The notebook is not one endless page. It is grouped into pages. Each page holds a batch of new transaction notes. When a page fills up, it gets sealed and added to a stack of previous pages. Now comes the important part. Each new page is tightly linked to the page before it using cryptography, which is just a fancy word for math locks. This linking makes it extremely hard to alter the past without everyone noticing. A stack of linked pages is a chain, and each page is a block of transactions. That is why people say blockchain. It is literally blocks linked into a chain. So who gets to seal the next page and add it to the stack? In a bank, that job belongs to the bank. In Bitcoin, that job is given to whoever wins a global competition. Miners are the competitors. They collect recent transactions, assemble them into a candidate page, and then they compete to win the right to add that page to the notebook that everyone shares. Bitcoin makes this fair and hard to cheat by turning it into a puzzle race. The first miner to solve the puzzle earns two things: the right to publish the next page and a reward paid in newly created Bitcoin plus transaction fees. That reward is how new Bitcoin enters circulation over time. Now here is where people hear the word puzzle and assume it must be some deep math problem. It is not deep in a human way. It is hard in a brute force way. It is basically a massive guessing game that is easy to verify once someone claims they found the answer. To understand it, you need one simple concept called a hash. A hash is a digital fingerprint. You feed some data into a hash function, and it spits out a fixed-length output that looks like random characters. The key property is that even a tiny change to the input produces a totally different output. It is like a fingerprint that changes completely if you move even one pixel. So a miner takes their candidate page of transactions and runs it through hashing. Then the miner keeps tweaking one small number attached to the page and hashing again. That small number is often called a nonce, which just means a number used once. You do not need to memorize the term. Just think of it as the dial the miner turns over and over. The network has a rule that says the winning hash must match a certain pattern. A simple way to describe it is that it must look rare, like starting with a certain number of zeros. The exact target changes over time to keep the pace of new pages roughly steady. Here is the punchline. There is no shortcut. You cannot reason your way to the right nonce. You cannot solve it with a clever equation. You just try, hash, check, and repeat. Faster computers can try more guesses per second, which gives them better odds of winning the race. Eventually, one miner gets lucky and finds a nonce that produces a hash that matches the pattern. They broadcast the winning page and proof to the network. And this is the beautiful part. Finding the winning nonce can take an enormous number of guesses. But verifying the result is fast. Other computers can check the hash in seconds and confirm the work matches the rules. Once enough of the network agrees the page is valid, that page becomes the next official page in the notebook. The transactions are considered confirmed and the winner receives the reward. Then everyone moves on to building the next page. Now you might be thinking, why build money on top of a giant guessing contest? Why not just pick a trusted computer and let it update the notebook? Because there is no central trust in this design. The guessing contest is not there to be cute. It is there to make rewriting history brutally expensive. Imagine a bad actor tries to cheat by changing an old transaction, like trying to erase a line on page 100 and replace it with a new line that benefits them. The moment they change anything on that old page, the hash of that page changes. And because each page is linked to the previous one, the next page no longer links correctly. The chain breaks. To hide the cheating, the attacker would have to redo the mining work for that altered page to create a new valid hash, then redo the next page to link to it, then redo the next, and keep going all the way to the present. Meanwhile, honest miners keep adding new pages at the front, pushing the notebook forward. So the attacker is not just editing a line, they are trying to rebuild a huge portion of the notebook while the rest of the world keeps writing new pages. To actually catch up and overtake the honest chain, the attacker would need an enormous amount of computing power, often described as needing to control a majority of the network's mining power. That is difficult and expensive, which is the point. Security comes from making cheating cost more than it is worth. This is where the energy discussion fits in. The electricity is not magically turning into value on its own. The electricity is paying for the difficulty. It is paying for the fact that rewriting the notebook requires real-world resources, not just a clever lie. That does not automatically make the energy cost good or bad. It makes it a trade-off. Bitcoin chooses security through costly work rather than security through a central authority. People can debate whether that trade-off is worth it, but it helps to understand what the energy is doing in the system. It is not there because miners love heat. It is there because the network needs a way to pick a winner and punish cheaters without a boss. So what does this mean for you in real life? If you are someone who likes understanding money systems, mining is the mechanism that replaces the bank's role of maintaining a ledger. The record is public, the rules are fixed in software, and trust is spread across many participants instead of concentrated in one institution. If you are someone curious about why Bitcoin is considered scarce, mining is where that scarcity is enforced. New coins are issued on a schedule, and the reward has historically been designed to decrease over time until it reaches a capped supply. That scarcity is not a marketing slogan, it is part of the network's rules. If you are someone worried about fraud and tampering, mining is the reason the history is hard to change. Not impossible in every theoretical scenario, but extremely difficult in practice, because rewriting the past requires massive real-world effort. If you are someone focused on environmental impact, mining is also where the costs show up most clearly. The right question is not why does it use energy? The question is, what do we get in exchange for that energy, and are there cleaner ways the industry can operate? Different mining operations use different power sources, and the mix can change over time. But the basic mechanism remains the same. Proof of work turns electricity into security by making cheating expensive. If you are a tech person, mining is also a simple example of how distributed systems can reach agreement. Thousands of independent computers can converge on one shared history without any central coordinator, because the rules for accepting pages are public and the proof is easy to verify. Here is my simple framework for thinking about Bitcoin mining. Mining is not digging. It is earning rewards for securing and updating a shared notebook. The puzzles are not solving math mysteries. They are a brute force way to select a winner fairly without trust. And the energy cost is the price of making attacks expensive in a system that does not rely on a central referee. Let us recap in plain English. People make transactions. Miners bundle transactions into a page. Miners race to find a winning hash by guessing. The winner earns the right to add the page and gets paid. Everyone can verify the work quickly. And the difficulty of that work makes rewriting the past extremely hard. If that made Bitcoin mining finally feel obvious, subscribe. I will keep breaking down confusing tech into simple models you can actually remember.